a true Chicago Cubs legend, a true baseball legend for that matter. You see his statue. It is outside of Wrigley Field, immortalized. Fergie Jenkins, I'm going to say the greatest pitcher in the history of the Chicago Cubs, joins me right now. Baseball legend Fergie, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great. What a day.
Fergie, you are 82 years young. You're an institution in this town. You're one of the most beloved Chicago Cubs that there is. Does opening day still get you excited the way that it used to?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you get a chill when you have to go to the ballpark, regardless of the weather. But the nice part about it, it's the start of the season. Let's hope that you get off to a winning start. And opening day was always a lot of fun because the manager give you that opportunity to be the opening day pitcher. And I had DeRocher for quite a few years here, and that was an honor.
Well, Fergie, we talked a little bit before we went on the air about the fact that you made so many opening day starts, we're not sure. We're thinking at least 13 times you got the ball for that assignment. What kind of an honor and what kind of a responsibility is it to know that you're going out to represent your team on opening day? You know
what was nice? You always knew the starting lineup, your lineup, and you knew the lineup you were going to face. Either it was going to be Pittsburgh, the Mets, Cincinnati, or Philly, my old team, the Phillies. So that was the honor part of it, was knowing you got to get these guys out. That's the other task you got to have. But that was the fun part of it.
Fergie, tell me about your first appearance at Wrigley Field, because we were talking earlier, the Cubs are the only team that you never beat during your career because you probably only had 2 or 3 appearances, if that you ever made. I don't even know if you ever started against the Cubs, but tell me as a young kid about that first time that you appeared at Wrigley Field as a Philadelphia Philly. Yeah,
I came up with the Phillies, and it was late in September, and that's the what they call the cup of coffee they give the players that they call up. And there's like maybe 10 or 15 guys they bring up, 40-man roster. And it was late in September. We had a rain delay. I pitched the 7th inning at a rain delay. Then I came out for the 9th. Billy Williams was the first hitter. I got him to pop up. And Ron Santo hit a wind-blown home run against me. And I always, when I joined the team the next year, I used to get on Santo. Santo, you had a pop-up. The wind helped you. But the Cubs are the only team I haven't defeated in baseball.
You had to wait a long time to get some revenge on Santo. You had to wait for him to go across town to the White Sox, and you finally got a chance to tangle with him again probably about 10 years later.
Yeah, it was in '74 when he got traded to the White Sox. And we had a couple of games that we pitched against each other. But, the fun part of it, the challenge is to get good hitters out. And Ronnie was one of those good hitters.
Fergie, let's talk about the run of dominance that you had here in this town. Obviously, you were great everywhere. You had tremendous years in Texas. You were obviously very effective in Boston and other stops that you made. But 67 to 72, we go back and we look at what you did. 6 consecutive 20-win seasons. 6 consecutive seasons where you had over 20 complete games as well. It was a different era. You came back, you won 20 again 2 years later in 74 in Arlington. 7 20-win seasons in 8 years. Now, if a guy makes 20 starts 6 years in a row, we're ready to throw a pep rally for him. When you look at starting pitching today and how much it's changed, you had 267 complete games during your career. And now you'll see some teams go the entire season and they might not have any. When you look at starting pitching today compared to when you came up and when you were at the top of your game, what do you think about it?
Well, it's changed in a lot of respects because of the fact that there was only 9 pitchers made the staff. 4 as a starter, 5 in the bullpen. And now you have 13 or 14 pitchers on the staff. So I'm not saying every pitcher has an opportunity to perform in that situation. But when you look at lineups, it might take 7 pitchers to win a ball game. But in my era, DeRocher was the manager. He gave you the ball. He didn't expect it back until you pitched late in the game, maybe 8 or maybe 9 innings. And that's the reason why I had a lot of starting assignments that went so long, because I could still hit and I could bunt. That always helped me too.
Well, you could hit. Let's talk about your 1971 season. Cy Young Award winner in the league that year. 24 wins, 325 innings pitched, 30 complete games in 39 starts.
Yeah.
I don't know. That arm still seems to be there, Fergie. They tell me that if you throw over 100 pitches, that's it. Your arm falls apart and you're done. You had 6 home runs and 20 RBIs that year. Hitting, you were kind of doing some Ohtani things back in 1971 before his parents had ever even grown up yet.
Yeah, right.
Take me back to that year, because that's one of the finest all-around seasons that a pitcher has ever had in Major League Baseball.
Well, it all started in probably in spring training, with spring training in Scottsdale. Billy Williams and I had put together a number of quotes, what we were going to try to achieve during the season. I know Billy wanted to hit 300, drive in 100 runs, these 20 complete ball games, and pitch 280 to 300 innings. And we always tried to achieve that. So we tried to reach those goals to help ourselves as an individual and to help the ball club, the team especially. We always thought about the team because we had guys at our ball. We had Ernie Banks and Santo and Kessinger, Becker, Hundley, and Billy, as they said, and probably Al Spangler in the outfield. So we knew that we were a ball club that if we played well, we could win that division, because there's only divisions then.
What would happen when Leo would come out back in that era where you were completing what you started 75% of the time some of those seasons? He comes out to see you in the 7th or 8th inning or whatever. What were those conversations like?
Well, you want to know how I felt? And do you know what your situation is? There's a couple of men on, and we might have just 1 out or 2 outs. Do you think you can get this next hitter to hit a ground ball for a double play, or get the next hitter out to end the inning? And he would always want to find out what my personal thought was. If I didn't tell him right away, get the bullpen ready. So they were coming in.
Well, I think we've got a tweet that I did about what a workhorse you were. If we have it, the graphic should pop up there with the caption. I hope I did you justice, Fergie. 20 games, 6 years in a row, as we said. Now you're considered a workhorse if you can just make it out there to the bump 20 times for 6 straight years. The standards, are we ever going to find out who has the capacity to be a horse if nobody ever gets the opportunity to be pushed a little bit harder? Do you think, is the starting pitcher as we once knew it, is that dead and buried now?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much management always wants to go to the starting pitcher. But you give me 5 or 6 innings and throw maybe 100 or less pitches, then they got the bullpen ready to go. It's really unfortunate you can't find a horse. Every so often you'll find an individual that can maybe throw into 8th inning, but it's really tough because of the fact that that part of the game has dwindled. It's all about the hitting now and run production and home runs.
Fergie, Wrigley Field obviously was your home for a long time. And depending upon the conditions, those lake effect winds, some days the Mother Nature made your job easier, and some days Mother Nature made your job probably damn near impossible. How much did it matter when you got up on the day that you were pitching, you came out, you checked the weather, you saw what the wind was doing? How much did that affect what was going to happen for you that day pitching at Wrigley Field?
Well, I can give you a hint that every pitcher on our staff would look. The ground crew a lot of times will let the grass grow and roll it back towards the plate. That helped hard hit ground balls. Now the manufacturer, the grass is like an inch tall now. But, I think the biggest thing is the wind blowing out. That's always a challenge to pitch to certain ball clubs. And there's always 4 or 5 guys on that ball club that are home run hitters. Even the 7th and 8th and 9th hitter could get the ball up in the air and you might give up a home run. And now they got the basket out there in the outfield, which I hated that. I've given up 7 or 8 home runs in that basket.
Cheap
but
home runs, Fergie.
It's part of the game. Can't do much about it. But I always look to tell myself, regardless of the weather, you got a starting assignment, go out there and do it.
Fergie, you were talking to Ronnie T-Shirts a little bit before we went on the air there. I saw him chatting you up. And you were talking about you lived pretty locally. You said you had the station wagon. It's almost like an idyllic, different time. And tell us about your process and how you would get ready and go to the ballpark back in the day.
Well, I lived 7800 in the Lake Shore, one of the tall buildings right close to Jackson Park. And I lived on Irving Park for about 5-6 years. You know what was nice is I knew I had to get up early because all day games. My whole career was all day baseball. You had to be up, ready to go at 8:15. I might eat with the kids, and then had to be dressing on the field at 9:15. And DeRocher was a ticklish manager about having his players on time. You better be on time, or you had to face the brunt of having Leo talk to you. and you had to walk up to his office and tell him, hey, the reason why I was late. And no player wants to do that. He always had an open door policy, but nobody wanted to go up there.
Nobody wanted to go through that open door. Fergie, I want to ask you one about your days with the Rangers. When you went to Texas, you were the starting pitcher, and obviously Harry Carey, a big part of baseball is throwing back a few drinks and guys having fun with their friends. I want to go back to something that happened in June of 1974 when you were with the Texas Rangers. 10-cent beer night in Cleveland, at Cleveland Stadium. The Rangers and Indians had a little, I guess, dust-up. It happened.
The day before.
Yeah.
Oh, well, 4 days before they had it.
In Arlington, right? So now you guys are coming. They've got 10-cent beer night. Can you just kind of give me the big picture view of how things went off the rails that night?
Well, 4 days before the beer night, we had a confrontation where a couple of guys got thrown at, and the fight started. Lenny Randle hit a ball down the first base line, and Milt Wilcox is the pitcher. Instead of Lenny Randle running to first, he runs right over Wilcox because Lenny was a running back at ASU. So the fight starts. Takes about 20 minutes. Fight's over. 4 days later, I'm the starting pitcher in Cleveland. They said it was revenge night against Billy Martin because they blamed Billy Martin for Lenny Randle hitting this ball down the line, and the fight starts. So I pitched 6 innings. I got spiked by Lenny Randle because I backed up third base. That's when it all happened. We had streakers. We had a couple of young ladies run out to the mound, run to the plate, and drop their front, I guess you'd call it a top.
Yes.
And then we had a couple of guys streak, and then I got spiked. And in the 6th inning, 7th inning, that's when the riot started.
And ended up being a forfeit. You guys won that game.
Yeah, we won the game. The umpire finally got disturbed enough to having things being thrown on the field. He gave the team the win. He forfeited the ball club, the Texas Rangers, the win. And I got a no decision.
Yeah. I think we should petition Major League Baseball. One more win for Fergie Jenkins.
26 wins would have been nice.
Yeah, I think it should have been a 26 win season. Back in those days, Fergie, how different was it switching leagues? Because we've had interleague play for so long now, and the umpires, it's a whole different situation. But going from the National League to the American League, what kind of an adjustment was that?
Well, you had to learn the hitters. In the Cactus League, there was only 2 other American League teams, the Angels, Cleveland, and the White Sox. 3, in fact. And you had to learn the Yankees. You had to learn so many other ball clubs, especially the guys that were tough in I think, in the American League because of the fact that there's 15 teams. So now the biggest thing is that if you don't know the hitters, I think you're going to have a problem. So when I got switched to basically the American League, I knew Oakland because they're in the Cactus League too. But I didn't know the Yankees that well. I didn't know the Angels that well or Cleveland. So it took a while to understand certain hitters from scouting reports. And that's the only way you could learn how to throw to certain ball clubs with scouting reports.
They always said that the American League, because they had the different chest protector. Was it the American League? Was it the high strike?
Yeah, they were a high fastball strike, and I was a low ball pitcher. Fastball, slider, changeup, down in the strike zone, and the umpire was on one knee in the National League, where the umpire stood straight over the catcher with that inflated balloon, and I always thought it was terrible.
Fergie, when you look at the rules changes, the last several years, Major League Baseball, for a long time, obviously, they were so reluctant to make any big adjustments whatsoever. Now we've seen pitchers no longer hit. We've got the universal DH. We've got bigger bases. We've got that clock. When you look at the shift, all the things that they've done, trying to bring more excitement into the game, trying to keep the game moving. Out of these rules changes that we've seen in the past few years, what do you like? What do you not like? How do you feel about Major League Baseball in 2025?
Well, when you look back at the game when I played in the 60s, 70s, 80s, the pitcher was pretty much dominant. And now we're like second-class citizens. Everything's been done for the hitter. Like you say, the clock, the bases are bigger. You have an oven glove, which gives you an extra 3 to 6 or 7 inches sliding into the bag ahead of the throw. The replay is good. I like that. But the clock, 20 seconds, 15 seconds, 18 seconds, 10 seconds to get into the box and hit. And now you have the Torpedo Bat.
Yes, tell me what you think about the Torpedo Bat, because I had never heard the term until, last Saturday. It's been less than a week.
Yeah, the Yankees brought it in because somebody gave the bats to the Yankees, and they hit a bunch of home runs. There's more of a hitting surface for the hitter, and I think it might increase the batting average a little bit, but you get a better piece of wood on the ball, and the ball maybe travel a little further. Who knows? A couple extra base hits, and now one hitter sees one of his teammates use it. Now he wants to use it. I can believe before the All-Star break, every ball club is going to have a half a dozen hitters on each team use that Torpedo Bat.
I'm imagining, Fergie, do you think you'll ever have any nightmares about Hank Aaron or Willie Mays standing in there with a Torpedo Bat, wake up in a cold sweat?
It helped the guys. You know, Tony Perez and I think Johnny Bench and Lee May, there was an R161, had a bigger barrel bat. It was like almost like the U1 that Clemente used. I think that you're going to see a lot of players use that bat because it's more of a hitting surface. And I think it's going to help. I think the batting average, you might see maybe an extra 20 points on each player's batting average. Instead of them hitting 255, 260, it might be 280.
Yeah.
The average batting average now in baseball.
Fergie, when you look at Shohei Ohtani and what he has done, not just last year, but over the course of his career, obviously last year he didn't pitch. He's going to be back on the mound in the pretty near future. Did you ever think it was possible for a guy to be an elite hitter? And we're talking about truly elite. The guy had the first 50-50 season last year. But he's also finished in the top 5 in Cy Young voting before. He's got a 15-win season. He had a season where he had over 200 strikeouts. Did you think that was possible, that we would see someone do this Babe Ruth shit, for lack of a better way of putting it?
You know, there's some other guys that I think Bob Gibson could have probably did it. Maybe Juan Marichal. Myself, I had a couple of good years hitting the ball. He's a phenomenal athlete. You got to take your hat off to him by telling him the body that you were given, the talent you are displaying now in the U.S. is something that's remarkable. Which he's done some remarkable things, being able to hit, pitch. I think it's remarkable at a young age. Let's hope he can continue maybe a couple more years, because who knows, there might be another individual waiting as you call it, off stage.
Yeah.
To get that opportunity to be on stage, which is a daily thing, to go out there, maybe one day pitch and throw 8 or 9 innings, and then as a DH, go 3 for 4, 4 for 4. Who knows? It might happen.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think he's opened up our minds to the fact that, okay, it's not impossible. It's like when the guy ran the 4-minute mile for the first time. Everybody was like, oh, hey, wait a minute. This can be done, and it inspired others to come on and do more. I got to ask you before you get out of here.
Sure.
You're wearing your Mavericks gear today, and Ronnie said to me, he's like, look, you got to ask Fergie about the Luka trade. I know that you get out to some Mavericks games. I mean, Luka for Anthony Davis. How are we feeling about that down there in Dallas?
Well, it shocked basketball, especially in the Dallas area. It shocked him that he was traded to the Lakers. I just think that the trade, and there was a number of other players who were involved, but you're trading an automatic 25-game scorer to a scorer that's a center or one or two of the shooting guards. But he was shocked, and now he's playing alongside the King. And the Lakers got a good shot to get in the playoffs. So I think that basketball can shock a lot of different people, especially fans. In our area, especially Dallas, he came there at a young age, and then he left. So a lot of fans were angry, but you can't do anything about it. general managers, they make a lot of deals.
Indeed they do. And, boy, Nico Harrison, that's one that he's going to have to answer for if things go south.
Yeah.
In Dallas, Fergie, tell us what you got going on these days, man. You look like $1 million. You're out and about. I mean, what's Fergie Jenkins doing in this day and age?
Well, I still work for the ball club, the Cubs. I go to spring training, and I talk to a lot of the young pitchers and try to find their attitude or what they're trying to accomplish once you get to the big leagues. Do the odd appearance for the Rangers, maybe a dinner or maybe an alumni situation where there's a lot of guys still around the Dallas area. Other than that, the wife and I, we live in a little town called Frisco. I do a lot of fishing. I play golf as much as I can and just try to stay busy.
Well, you're doing something right. I can tell you that.
Pleasure.
Fergie Jenkins,
Pleasure
to have you on, sir.
Right.
You are indeed a legend. The man has a statue outside the ballpark for a reason. One of the greatest pitchers to ever do it in the history of Major League Baseball. Truly an immortal, Fergie Jenkins. Still got it, motherfucker. What do you think of the Torpedo Bats?
It's crazy to me. It changed everything, making everything easier for the hitter and harder for the pitcher.
So we look like we're about the same age, roughly in that ballpark. I assume that you played some wiffle ball in your day.
Oh yeah.
We're going to let you have that yellow bat right there.
All right.
Take a couple of rips, maybe crank one right here next to Wrigley Field. I don't know what kind of arm Ron has, the big right-hander from Columbus, Ohio. Ronnie looking to rack one up. The Bartolo Colon of his era. Okay, now, fortunately, much like the Yankees have discovered, there is an alternative. And I hold it in my hand. There it is. You are going to swing the red Torpedo Bat. Anthony Volpe is not hitting a home run on every single at bat. Just most of them. Oh, look at that. It is out of here. That is gone. Up top, my man. Take the bat, whichever bat you prefer, Hayden. Hayden is wisely going to take the Torpedo Bat. He's obviously aware of what the New York Yankees have been doing. All right, here it comes. Oh, my gosh. Tell me your candid thoughts on the New York Yankees and these Torpedo Bats that they're using to obliterate pitching.
I'm a traditionalist, but these oversized bats. Oh no. My dad is spinning in his grave with that. No.
It's my turn now. Oh. Does that have lubrication on it? I feel like the Whammer and Roy Hobbs.
Not want to taste the piece of Ricky Cobb.
Still got it, motherfucker.
Cool.
Is this still real life, Ron? By the way, before, and we're going to talk about that, but by the way, can we discuss this? You are, of course, I didn't give you your proper introduction because everything's a little bit different here today. You are, of course, the international streaming star, joining me, of course, right here from this table, sitting in the very chair that Fergie Jenkins was in. Do you feel just a little bit better at life already?
I can tell you one thing. I'm hoping that if I make it to 82.
Oh, my God.
Hey, I asked, Lori's here. I asked her, I said, hey, how old do you think he is? She goes, 65. I said,
telling you.
I said, you're close. He's 82.
Yes. Unbelievable.
And sharp.
Yeah, may we all be doing as well as Fergie. I hope I'm doing that well when I'm
tomorrow.
70.
Oh, I'm hoping tomorrow.
I'm no kidding.
Yeah, I'm hoping tomorrow.
Kidding. But it was great. And you were just buddies with him. This guy, you didn't even know who he was until 2 days ago, probably.
I did.
The least.
I had heard of him.
Well, yeah. Couldn't have identified him in a
lineup.
Nope. Zero chance. So Tell me what you think. We took the red bat, we took the yellow bat, and we made our way right out to Wrigley Field, and we just started hanging with the locals. We were like the Pied Pipers of Wrigleyville.
People were gravitating to us.
Yeah.
Dude, I took a couple cuts with that yellow bat. I looked like I had never played a sport in my life.
The first swing was a little rough.
Kind of embarrassing.
I'm not going to lie.
It was embarrassing.
I was relieved when you cranked the third one because, if you had just gone down on 3 pitches, I don't know.
Well, speaking of pitches, I sent the video that was posted on OutKick to my friends. Ryan responded, did your dad teach you how to pitch? Because nobody taught you how to pitch. So I'm like, I was trying to do Louis T-on.
Look, I pitched in T-ball, 9 and 10-year-olds were coach pitch, where you pitch to your own kids and you're trying to help them hit it.
You weren't trying to buzz them.
Yeah, you weren't trying to break off something nasty on little Hayden there and buckle his knees. Joining me now here at Roadhouse 66, big right-hander, former Cubs closer, Cubs opening day starter. You're a versatile man, Ryan Dempster. Welcome to the program.
You forgot led the team in bunting one year. I had most sack bunts, which was my legendary stat.
How do you feel about the designated hitter being in the National League now?
Yeah, the designated hitter was in the National League. No more designated hitters. All designated hitters should go away. It should be pitchers hitting. That's how I vote. I know it's in the National League.
There's an idea.
I just think that the pitchers should hit again. They should have went the other way. They should have went the American League should have scrapped the DH and the pitchers just hit.
Only pitchers hit.
Well, pitchers hit in the 9th hole or the 8th hole if you're really good, like Carlos Zambrano. He was a good hitter. I would have hit if the manager had an option when I was playing. He would have DH'd for me every time.
What was your career batting average?
0.99.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was one. People go, you were one hit away from being over 100. I go, no, I was one sack bunt away. If I would have just got one more of those sack bunts down, that would have brought my batting average up.
That's half a Mendoza.
Yes.
Yeah. You're
I was extremely uncomfortable with a bat in my hand.
Well, look, in fairness to you, there were a lot of guys that got uncomfortable with bats in their hands when you were on the mound.
True.
Now, you came up, you were a fine starting pitcher early in your career with Florida. I was telling you about a start that I saw that you made at Great American Ballpark in 2003. We won't talk about that.
Yeah.
I saw you have a better start in 2001 at Busch Stadium, Pujols' rookie year.
Yeah.
You established yourself as a starter. You came to Chicago in 2004 as a relief pitcher. You were the closer for a few years before going into the rotation. What was that like for you being a closer?
Yeah, it was a big transition. So I came in 2004 rehabbing from Tommy John, which I had in Cincinnati. And then, I was rehabbing. We had 5 starters. Maddox, Wood, Pryor, Zambrano, and Clement. And I'm rehabbing. I'm like, hey, Dusty, I'm good. I'm healthy. Jim Hendry was the GM. What if I just go in the reliever role? And I end up pitching well out of the pen. Next year they put me in the closer's role. It was a different beast, It's a different beast closing here in Chicago. Like you close here in Chicago, it's like being a kicker for the Cowboys. Like you can kick 30 field goals in a row. You miss one field goal, they want a new kicker. That's how it was as a closer. It was a lot of pressure. But the first year went amazing. Second year, not so much. Third year, better. And then back to the rotation, which, was where I was the happiest. And honestly, I was a starting pitcher. That's what I love to do, and that was great going back in the rotation.
Well, you went back into the rotation with a bang. 17-win season in 2008.
No kidding.
How did that feel going from closing games out to suddenly you're pushing 20 wins in the rotation?
Yeah, you know what? It was so much fun. And I wish I would have got to 20 because Lou Piniella, my manager, I always wanted to play right field. I love shagging batting practice. And I wanted to hose one guy at home plate. And Lou said, son, listen, you win 20 games, I'll put you in right field. And I tried so hard to get there. I never got there. But, for me, it was one of my biggest career accomplishments in the sense of to go from throwing, closer role, 70 innings a year to 200 innings, making an all-star team. It was a magical season. It was one of the best. It was the best year for me personally of my career, and just so special.
Home opener here at Wrigley Field.
I couldn't sleep last night.
It's always special, right? I mean, you've been in this game for your entire life. Tell me about your own opening day experiences, because you're one of the rare people in our society who knows what it's like to take that ball at a major league stadium on opening day.
Yeah, it's the coolest feeling when you're in your home ballpark. Like, everything's crisper. I look at it like there's like 4D, TVs now. It's like 5D. It's like everything. You can't sleep at night. You want to get up in the morning. You don't need an alarm clock. You have a tough time eating. Everything just feels like, I guarantee you right now, all those guys, the butterflies that they're feeling, even though they've already played 9 games, right? The butterflies that you feel for your home opener. And at Wrigley Field, people say it's just another start. Bullcrap. It is the coolest thing to start an opening day at Wrigley Field. I got a chance to do it a couple times. One against the Pirates, not so great. Not bad, not terrible. I had one against the Nationals on opening day 2010. Went into the 8th inning, 10 punchies. Unbelievable. Wind was blowing straight in. I'll never forget this. I'm facing Ryan Zimmerman. I got two out, nobody on. He comes up, I go 2-0 count. And I throw a 4-seam fastball right down the middle, and he crushed it. And he, throws his bat to the dugout like he's going to touch pillows. He's going around, he's going to circle the bases. And I swear to God, I looked at him, I go, hey, dude, you're out. And he goes, and he kind of, looked over, what? I go, you're out. And our left fielder, caught it with his back face in the infield. He's like, I'm going to watch it blow over the bleachers and then blow back in, And it was just I had the greatest defense in the world was that wind at Wrigley Field that day. But, in all honesty, there's nothing better than opening day, no matter where you're at, a home opener. And when you get to be the starting pitcher for your team on an opening day at home, it's the coolest feeling at Wrigley Field, nothing better.
Ryan Dempster, a man who knows a little something about opening day, co-host of Intentional Talk on MLB Network. Make sure that you tune in, listen to what this guy has to say. It's always interesting stuff. Ryan, we appreciate you.
Hey, Rick, thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Hey, OutKick fans on YouTube, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and make your way over to OutKick.com where you can watch the full episode.